Hello, everybody, and welcome to the quarterfinals of the 2022 Spring Fling. I'm Michael Hype. I'm joined today by Brian Kowal, otherwise known as BK. How are you doing, BK?
I'm doing great today. Ready to watch some Premodern.
Yes, so we have played two of the matches. The right side of this bracket has been played. I'm not going to talk about the results here, just in case maybe you're viewing and haven't seen those yet. Those are available on VODs and will eventually make it to YouTube. We are going to talk about the matchup that we do have on hand, which is the upper left corner here. We have the Rock up against a mono blue Stiflenought list. So the Rock is being piloted by Anton Glans. That is someone who has been a consistent figure in the pre-modern community, organizer and player of Epic, and often does well in our monthly tournaments and does a lot for our community. And then Sven Lutz is playing the Mono Blue Stiflenought. I know a lot less about Sven. I don't know how long he's been playing in the tournaments, but this is the first top 8 that I'm aware of that he's made in the tournaments, at least that I have covered or been pretty involved with. So we got kind of the veteran against the newcomer, and the newcomer is bringing not necessarily a brand new deck. I have seen lists of this mono blue Stiflenought running around, but it is certainly something that is not always played. So I'm going to jump over to the deck list, and we can talk a little bit more in depth about what we have going on. Um, the first list I have up is the Rock, and while the Rock has been a player since pre-modern has kind of gained popularity, there always is a little bit of ability to tweak and adjust card counts based on the metagame. And Anton definitely has some one-ofs that are not usually seen in the Rock list. So were you able to look at this list, BK? Are you familiar with some of the differences that he has?
I looked at it a little bit. It's a lot like the blue black list I felt, except it's even more blue, obviously. Really leaning into gush and library manipulation to put those combo pieces together instead of having like tutors like the black version would have. And using counter spells, also using counter spells, lots more counter spells than any other version I've seen to protect their dreadnought. Rather than various other like discard or various other systems to keep it alive.
Yeah, so the mana base is 4 wasteland and then 14 island. So I don't know exactly how many lands like the multicolor list. I don't know if you're able to shave a mana source, but it's just this streamlined mono blue deck with a lot of four ofs. I mean, it's the card filtering. You got then the Stifle and the Vision Charm and the Dreadnoughts, and then kind of added there's Winter Orbs, which aren't always in the main of some decks. And then like the full 4 foil, I guess is kind of the standout is what you gain with the mono blue version is you're much more likely to have that island and another card to discard with this version.
Also, like I mean, all the counter actual factual counter spells that this deck runs is not something that's often feels like something that gets shaved in other dreadnought lists I see.
That's true.
Like
That is a big point because I think a lot of us with the multicolor, you're not able to always have essentially blue, blue, blue because you're going to need like a Vision Charm or a Stifle on the turn that you're assembling the combo. And so with the mono blue list, that is a feature that is very powerful, and especially because I mean this is kind of after you combo, it's kind of a protect the queen sort of thing where you're just protecting your dreadnought and try to ride it to victory, and answering a hard counter for 2 mana, answering like the swords or naturalizes of the world is really powerful. So it'll be interesting to see this deck and see how it performs.
what's the last? Could you just let me know? Because I don't have the deck list in front of me. What
Mhm.
is the last blue card in the bottom right corner and that four
That is a
slots underneath
disrupt.
the? That's a
So
disrupt.
yes. So
So two ops, one disrupt, and then all fours,
yep.
and or two winter orbs, I guess.
Yeah,
But
and one little Lotus Petal, I guess, just for the
mhm.
the nice
just
occasions for you,
uh,
just to get
just
it
to mix it
sometimes.
up.
Yep. All right. So over to the Rock. So this is what Anton has brought, and so there are some differences from some of the lists that I've seen most recently. So Anton is playing Birds of Paradise. There are 3 copies of it. I think he had talked about it a little bit and just saying that you want one and not more, and
Yeah,
he just kind of wants the early acceleration. But
yeah.
he still has 3 Wall of Roots, so he has probably a little bit more ramp than most of the Rock lists.
I think you're looking at the state of the art for rock lists currently. Like this is that evolution. Like his Anton is a person who's played a lot of rock lists, I'm sure. and he's made a lot of cool and fun additions to his list. You know, the single Braids, the single Plague Spitter main. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, the birds, like you said, like one thing I found when I played the rock a lot is I really wanted birds. I didn't think I did when I started playing it, but the more I played it, the more I
yeah,
felt
there
like it
there are a
was.
lot of little one-ofs. The Plague Spitter, Braids, Cabal, Minion, which I think is a fan favorite of everyone. Just one
Yeah,
Deranged Hermit. There's a Spiritmonger. There's one Naturalize. One Vendetta. So there's a lot of single copies of cards that found its way into the main deck, and so it's kind of funny. There's no like Vampire Tutor in this format, so it's not. It's just you're gonna draw them when you're gonna draw them, and so
right.
we'll see if any of these one-ofs kind of hurt him. I mean, like a Plague Spitter is not really a card you're necessarily looking for in this matchup. I guess we should note that the players are playing a best of 3 for this quarterfinals. So the first game will be without sideboard, and then the second and potentially third we will move to sideboard. So Anton is our top seed. He gets to choose to play or draw. He is elected to play first. Is there anything else you want to talk about the decks or the matchup before we head down, BK?
I was going to say, I always like to tell deck builders that you're infinitely more likely to draw a copy of a card if you put 1 copy in than put 0.
That is factually true. So, all right, let's jump on down to the match. If you want to let our players know that they can get started, we have Anton on the left with the rock, and then Sven on the right with the mono blue Stiflenought. Looks like Anton has mulliganed once, and looks like Sven is content with the 7 cards he started with. All right.
Oof. You never want to see Dreadnought keep all 7.
Yeah, especially it's in the I guess if you know like the deck list, it depends on how much interaction a main deck has against it. Most of the games you play with the Dreadnought deck, if the deck lists aren't public, then you are very aggressively mulliganing toward the combo because there's just so many games that you can just steal that way. But here the deck lists are open, but there's not too many cards that at least once it's in play that really break up the get rid of the Dreadnought.
I played Dreadnought in the Spring Fling, and I never drew Dreadnoughts, no matter how hard I tried, or tutors for them.
That's problematic. The deck is probably a little bit less explosive if you don't have a Dreadnought.
Yeah, for sure.
We see Portent coming from Sven on turn 1. Targeting himself. I know I always like to joke when we see Portent's targeting opponents. I know when I did the double elimination tournament where we featured the dual lands for a tournament, I portented my opponent multiple times, and so we got to do that in webcam. So yeah, it is a good point with the chat is talking about the turn 1 Mishra's Factory is a colorless source, and so I don't know what that kind of tips of Anton's hand. I mean, it's not like you're really looking to block with that Mishra's Factory anyways, so
Yeah, I mean, it might mean he's considering attacking if he does, like, he might not have a good turn 2 play, so
that's
he's
fair.
like considering send that Mishra in because he knows there's nothing in his bonus decks that's gonna really blow him out there.
All right, well, Wall of Roots is his turn 2 play, so off a Llanowar Wastes, so now he does access to multiple mana. And so here we see the Dreadnought coming down for Sven, and he's going to respond with a Stifle, so it'll phase out. So Anton's interactions now, he has 1 Smother, 1 Vendetta, and 4 Pernicious Deeds. I believe those are the main deck cards that interact with this 12/12. And so if he did have a land and Pernicious Deed, he would have the required mana. I guess even if without the land, he'd be able to use the Wall of Roots on his turn to cast the deed and then activate it on his opponent's turn. So really, I think Pernicious Deed is probably the most likely case here. We will see.
This is just how awesome Wall of Roots is too. Like this is the situation where his opponent might have days, and it's gonna absolutely save him if he has a deed here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Robin does point out that there is a Naturalize in the main deck. Yeah, that's another card. One thing that will be interesting is I don't know how, like, if you have a discard spell in your hand and you have a removal, like, is it ever worth kind of slow playing? Because if there is a card like Stifle or another Vision Charm that would protect the Dreadnought from, at least from Pernicious Deed, the Vision Charm protects against the removal spells. So it looks like we are passing the turn, and We're in the upkeep, and we do have the Naturalize, the main deck Naturalize for the Dreadnought. So 2 mana is going to be spent. We're going to see if there is a response for Sven.
What do you think about rocking this on the upkeep instead of
Well, it was phased out, so I don't think there's really.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
That's true. Yeah. Vision Charm really helping with the counterspell. Counterspells in the deck.
Okay, yep. So counterspell answers the Naturalize, and we have a seemingly protect or like a Dreadnought. I guess I don't know if you're gonna block with a Mistress Factory. He's got that option, but yeah,
Block with the wall.
yeah,
He's specifically not using the counters on the wall, which might mean he's light on answers to the Dreadnought and is expecting to need to gain 5 there.
yeah. I was guessing I would say leave the swamp untapped so you can bluff, but it's not like you're not really bluffing a removal spell because you're definitely going to be casting it in this spot or not. So,
Oh yeah.
all right, 12 damage coming through. We'll see if Anton takes all the damage or if one of his creatures is going to get in the way. I don't really see the added benefit of really blocking here.
Yeah, I think I would block next turn.
Yeah. And looks like he will go down to 7.
I think it's interesting. Okay.
Oh, I was just to say, Robin was asking if Sven plays Wastelands. Yes, he does have 4 copies of Wasteland in his deck. All right, we got black mana being spent. This could be either a deed or a discard spell or a removal spell. All right, 3 mana. I'm guessing this is a deed. Okay, there is a deed.
It is a deed.
There still is blue mana, so there's a
Indeed.
potential for a Stifle or a Vision Charm.
A deed in need is a need for deed is a deed indeed.
Yes. All right, so Anton is letting him untap, which I guess the reason is that if he has Vision Charm, then you save 12 life. I was gonna say it maybe like if you have 2 stifles, then or Anton slams his head on the ground as the stifle answers the activation of the Pernicious Deed. So
yeah,
that I think he's counting up whether he can survive an attack. Let's see, he has 3 toughness, 6 toughness, so he would take 9 as I'm counting. So
yeah,
6, he would take 6, so he could have lived. He could have lived a turn.
I think he needed to use the City of Brasnor to activate the Mishras.
Oh, maybe I missed a point. Okay.
5.
Okay.
So he'd
either that or he add a counter on the wall, and then he would take another trample damage.
2 counters in the wall, but
okay.
I'm not sure.
Yep. So yeah, I think I might have missed. I might have missed his light. Yeah, he was at 6. So all right, he was dead.
12 is a lot of damage. That's what that showed us.
Yes. All right, I'll jump over to the sideboards. We'll look at the decks, and we can see if we can kind of anticipate what the players are going to be doing for these sideboarded games. The Rock does have a number of cards. So Vendetta. So people always talk about like Vendetta, like because you can't Vendetta 2 Dreadnoughts, but I don't know. I feel like the first Vendetta is very, very, very good, and like yeah, you might draw the second one, but I don't know. Like getting that Dreadnought off the table for a cheap interaction, I think is very valuable. So definitely bringing in the other Vendetta. I think Duress is a card you'd like to bring in if there's room. Diabolic Edict is very good. The 3 Naturalizes.
Yeah, Vendetta's like gain 12 really. You would have taken 24.
What cards? I mean, the Plague Spitter seems a little bit underwhelming. I think Braids is unfortunately getting cut. I mean, like Braids is a card that if you do have control of the game, it's kind of nice because there's not too many lands from the Stiflenought player, and like you are hitting like they don't have any other permanents that are like really going to be sitting. It is an angle that you could take, but I think it's just a little bit slow.
Yeah, I don't think Braids is where they want to go.
Okay. I would cut Spiritmonger. I just like the clunky creature though. I mean, like maybe it blocks. It saves you 6 life. I don't know.
He does have to kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I think I think this is a situation where the Rock is the control deck and Dreadnought is the aggro. And I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't be worried about casting Spiritmongers against them.
Okay, so I mean, we're looking at bringing in one, two, three, four, five, six cards. So I guess what do you think are the worst six cards? Plague Spitter, Braids, Spiritmonger. That's three. What are the next three? That's I think a little bit more difficult. Are you cutting
Um,
the Yavimaya Elder? Are you cutting Wall of Blossoms? Uh,
I mean, you can cut more threats too. You can just go down Blastoderms
okay.
as well. Is this? Do you bring the Spike Feeder?
So the I don't think you do because I mean if one Spike Feeder would put you at 24 if you don't take any damage from your lands that doesn't cut down the clock. Uh, I guess like I mean, are you thinking like
But you have
Recurring
Daedalus
Nightmare or
too.
yeah? Okay. But I mean, all right. It's
I think I probably cut Elder. I don't think Elder is so hot in this matchup because it's not really about developing your mana base. You know, it's more about also they're a Winter Orb deck. That's not a zero either in the equation here.
yeah, that is
Um,
something that we didn't really mention in the pregame. That there are two copies of the Winter Orb in here that are pretty effective against kind of shutting down what the Rock is trying to do.
yeah,
All right, I brought up the Stiflenought list. So we have Tormod's Crypt, which I'm personally not a fan of fighting that angle against Recurring Nightmare. I don't think it's needed. A Powder Keg doesn't seem very effective. A Null is reasonable. It gets rid of Pernicious Deed, but is and Recurring Nightmare. But I think you are only really caring about Pernicious Deed for the most part. Boomerang, Hibernation, and Rainbow of Freed. I don't think those are really necessary. I
Rainbow
don't
Free.
like. Are you bringing in a null? Is it better? Is that an upgrade, or do you think it's just better to have like the versatile dazes, counterspells, foils? Keep those in.
I I think his counterspell suite's a little better.
Okay.
I guess I could see. I don't know.
I
No,
could
I
see. I could see taking out some number of days because, I mean, it's a card that I think Anton is going to do his best to play around anyways,
yeah.
and you're probably going to get the value. But I
Is
do.
Rainbow Free that bad against him? I could see it just going all the way against Rock.
So
Like,
the, I mean, I don't know if I guess the Rainbow of Freed. We'll have to talk to Sven of like how many matchups he's brought it in, but it kind of feels it's like if you feel like you can't protect your Dreadnought, that's your backup plan. But I don't know. I guess there's only
yeah,
one, and
he
maybe it's
just
just
has a
something to
null over
chip in
days.
and bring it in. If you want to send the players a message, I see them shuffling up, but I'm not sure if they're aware that they can get started. If you just want to give them a quick
Oh,
reminder, they can start
I
whenever they are ready.
okay. I told him to wait till
Okay.
we were ready, but
Yep.
yeah,
So both players are sideboarded. I definitely feel like the rock deck has improved a little bit more, but
quite a bit.
anything can really happen with this dreadnought deck. That like if you just your draws line up,
Mhm.
you can present a threat very quickly and protect it pretty well.
Historically, the Rock's been kind of a predator on this type of deck, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
like
that's what
there
it
are
was.
always the instance where like you get kind of a clunky draw from the rock
Mhm.
and things can go
Oh, I know.
poorly. Like, but I would say there are enough tools, and it's an interesting dynamic. I think for the Stiflenauts players, always in the sideboarded games, because your opponent is likely bringing in a lot more answers to your dreadnought, and you don't have. I mean, Sven doesn't have Lotus Petal, so he's not as he has one Lotus Petal. He doesn't have the four that a lot of lists do. He's not committing as many resources to playing an early dreadnought as some lists might, but it's always kind of scary doing that if your opponent has 8 to 10 cards that kind of answer it, because if you commit so quickly you can get blown out and you kind of open yourself up to losing that card advantage. And sometimes the Stifle player has to play a little bit slower in the post border games. I think that's the most interesting dynamic that comes up. But yeah, I think Rock does a pretty good job of fighting these post board games against the Dreadnought decks.
Yeah, I hate playing sideboard games with Dreadnought. I'll say it. It feels like you have like this plan, and it's not too hard for most people to have like a reason. Like you get by the fact that they don't have a lot of main deck answers. Like if you want to demoralize somebody with their new deck, I would play Dreadnought against them over and over again. But if you want to demoralize somebody who wants to play Dreadnought, play sideboard games against them over and over again.
That's fine. That's kind of how I feel with the Devourer deck, the Phyrexian Devourer deck. Like the times I played it, you win a lot of the game ones because they're not prepared for the combo, and then just going forward, they like just null rosin, engineered plagues, and all these things that you just like can't deal with any.
It's the classic combo deck MO, right?
Yeah.
Like you win lots of first games because they're just not ready, and then you're just like, all right, let's put it together here, maybe one more time.
All right, we see a first turn Duress out of Anton, and it takes a counterspell. The rest of the cards, I see 2 impulses, an island. Are those 2 gushes? Okay. And so a second turn Duress revealed another gush. Interesting. So he takes an impulse.
Mm-hmm.
So no Cabal Therapy for Anton, I'm guessing. And that would have been a nice follow up to the first turn Duress.
That was a second Duress, right?
Yes, yeah. The second turn, second one took an impulse. So and then a deed will. I think it will resolve. I guess there's no. I gotta wait. There's still a unknown card in Sven's hand, but
yeah, you can impulse in response. Maybe daze it.
And I think this would definitely be something that you would like to daze.
Unless he listened to PDS and took his dazes out for nulls.
Yep. But this is a situation where Sven like has a hand that's set up for the longer game, with the card filtering. Didn't have either piece of the combo. Didn't have a Stifle or a Dreadnought.
Yeah.
So Anton's kind of setting up his first line of defense with Pernicious Deed, and now if he can resolve a Baloth or a Blastoderm, then I think Anton's really in the driver's seat because he's applying pressure while Sven is going to be spending his time trying to assemble his combo.
This is the strength of the blue deck of Dreadnought, is because you don't really need lands in play. He can just gush away for a foil or something to get rid of this Pernicious Deed, and doesn't really even slow himself down that much. Looks like he didn't hit anything because he drew for his turn, I think.
Slay saying that it's a greedy gush. I mean, like the Stiflenought decks operate on such low mana that like you not having those in play, I don't think is that big of a detriment to gush early. We have a Portent resolving. Okay. Kevin Cosnerino, I think he does have 4 foil, so yes, he does have a lot of foil. And I think also just the idea of having 4 gush allows you to play more of an attrition game against decks that are trying to 1 you in a lot of spots. Or if they're able to answer your Dreadnought, it's a way to kind of get back in the game.
I think he's also trying to mold up his Dreadnought with protection. Like the rock is going to take a long time to beat down this blue deck. So if I were in his shoes, I'd be just sit back. Like he's got the early deed. Okay, mold up the best 7 you can before you start dropping the 12/12s.
Yeah, the one kind of weakness, and not, I mean, like he doesn't really have another choice. Obviously, he's not just gonna run out a Dreadnought for it to get deeded if he can avoid it. But because Anton does have like the discard spells and something like Cabal Therapy, you can really get caught by like if you have multiple Stifles and you're looking for the Dreadnought, you can really get blown out in those situations. So. But yeah, I definitely like the Rock's position here with the deed in play. And I mean, like maybe a Boomerang comes in. I guess that was a sideboard card that we didn't talk about, but that's something. But there's only 1 copy, and like this list, because it doesn't have the black, that you can't Limdol's Vault and find those 1-ofs. You kind of just have to find it with the gushes and the portents and the impulses, while the black deck gives you a little bit more consistency of finding those 1-ofs.
Moving around a lot.
Trying to get in the perfect frame. So there is a Treetop Village in play, so it looks like Anton's going to fire that up and apply a little bit of pressure against Sven. So we got a clock, though it is kind of an investment that Anton has to sink mana in every turn. But
you gotta you just gotta get closer to more damage. More damage is less draw steps for his
Yep.
opponent.
Yeah.
What you need. He does have 8 main deck answers to Deed, really, too. Like,
Yep. All the vision charms and
oh,
stifles. They
he's going for it, ladies and gentlemen.
vision charm. All right. So is it better to deed now, or do you wait to deed on the next turn? That's the biggest, I guess, question. So the advantages are if he has a stifle, then I guess that doesn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
If he has another vision charm, I guess it's better to do it on his upkeep. So I think I wait. I mean, like, unless the...
Oh, I think you do it now, because what if he doesn't have the stifle, he gushes, you know, he might have to discard. I don't know.
Okay. I guess if he
Might be
had
right.
if he had a second vision charm as protection, then you buy yourself 12 life. You buy yourself a turn. And also, like, you get another draw step of seeing, like, Cabal Therapy or Duress, which could be really big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess he might as well take that one extra draw step to cover his Deed activation.
Yeah, I think the biggest downside is just you're using mana and a little less efficiently, but I don't think that's that big of a deal in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Anton tapping the table, so it didn't seem he's got a few cards in hand. I guess if I'm trying to think how many things he could be considering, because it seems almost pretty binary at this point of like what he needs to do. Either has like a removal spell or he doesn't.
He is unable to Deed until his opponent's upkeep this way too.
Yep.
Like, that's the other drawback. So counterspell is live again for if he doesn't Deed on.
Well, counterspell doesn't answer a deed activation.
Right, it's true.
So he uses a Wall of Roots counter to activate the. So he's showing 3 mana available on Sven's turn. I guess maybe if you had like a card like Naturalize, maybe you're thinking about playing around Days or not.
Or Smother, yeah.
Yeah.
Blocking.
I mean, I guess if you are planning, okay, so we just want to damage. So the Wall of Roots. Okay. So he soaked up 4 damage and took 8 from the Dreadnought. Interesting. I did not think of this potential line. I guess like waiting.
It's an interesting.
Well, I mean, like, it gives him another draw step to draw a card like Duress, Cabal Therapy, or like another interaction piece. So I can see that making sense.
I mean, I think he just assumes that his opponent has Stifle or something like that.
I mean, I would put my opponent on like it'd be. I mean, I've seen people actually just run it out there. They like into the deed and they say this is going to happen one way or another. So I guess there are some people do that. But yeah, I also am putting him on having a Vision Charm or Stifle. Though giving Sven extra turns to draw things, he draws more cards on average. So maybe it's necessarily not good to wait. Maybe you're supposed to force him, make him have it right now. He can activate Deed multiple times if there's a stifle. Well, is
No,
that?
he can't.
I don't think so. Yes. Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
I thought so too.
Although he's not putting in the graveyard.
Yes, you sacrifice the Deed as part of the activation, so that is not an option.
He's at exactly 12.
All right, so
suck up 3 damage with this Wall of Roots.
or the Treetop Village, yep, becomes active.
Yeah.
So I guess this is indicating that he doesn't have anything unless he... What if we saw Boomerang here? Or Hibernation? I guess Hibernation, there's only 2 mana, but... Alright, Treetop Village gets in the way. That will keep Anton alive.
Sven's probably feeling pretty good here.
Yeah, I just... The sequencing of what Anton had... I mean, the plays, it shows weakness, I guess, like when you
right, yeah,
are taking these hits. So, yeah, he's knocking the top of the deck. I think he's just looking for something that can deal with a Dreadnought. And, I mean, there's not too many cards in his deck that deal with this Resolved Dreadnought. So, he's thinking, looking.
His opponent still has a Gush in hand.
Yeah. He's passing the turn. All right. Is this an upkeep? If you have a removal spell, I think upkeep is the best timing because of Vision Charm. So is there a Smother? Is there a Naturalize? Is there a Diabolic Edict? Nothing during the draw step. So I'm guessing that Anton might be making an exit in the quarterfinals, and we might see the blue Stiflenought deck take a 2-0 victory over the Rock. Yeah, it will be unfortunate if Vendetta was the card that he just drew. Oh no, no. Go out on your own terms. If you have a counter spell, do you ever counter this? What if you just have like multiple counter spells? Nope. So
yeah.
Vendetta finishes Anton off.
That was the handshake.
Loses 12 life. So yes, the Dreadnought deck is quick and brutal and was able to get around the removal spells that Sven had. So I'm going to jump over to our 4-player screen. We can listen to the players as they discuss the match.
Yeah, Sven.
Did I just win this game? I never
Yeah.
in a million years.
No, I thought that was quite favored actually, but
You think so?
But you having the perfect setup there with both Stifle and I mean, I assume you had the Stifle the last game when you played, or didn't you? Did you win the mind trick?
No, I had it.
Yeah.
I had it. This would have been amazing with the
yeah, so I had to pay. I had to like take it. I had to find something. My discard to just take your Stifle or a Naturalize or a like Smother or Diabolic Edict, anything else. But the Vendetta that was the last card I drew there. So yeah. And in the first game, it was like the perfect setup with that you could phase it out when I had a Naturalize in my starters.
Sure.
And you had a counter spell for it, and then you had a Stifle for my deed when I drew it the last turn there. So yeah, it was I couldn't do much. Like good games.
Absolutely, I think so too. The first game, I mean, my hand was fine. Of course, it was good, but it wasn't great until I cast the Portent. And if I could not have wished for any better 3 cards, basically. So I just took it and ran with it. I guess that's
Sometimes but I mean that's Stiflenought for you, right? Like I was actually expecting this to go quite long, like grindy games. No discards in my. I couldn't multi-5 in my. I had a Naturalize there. That was my like out for the Dreadnought, in the first. And the second with like 2 Duresses and a Deed, I figured like that will buy me a lot of times, but it didn't. So.
Yeah, seems like a great keep against that deck. I mean, you saw his hand; he didn't have anything, and then like 2 turns later, he was has a Dreadnought with backup. That's a rough.
It's so annoying when you play discard and he has like 2 impulses and 1 gush, and it's like and a counter spell. I wanted to take an impulse, but he has 2, so like okay, I gotta take the counter spell, and then I was gonna take his gush with my second, but then you drew another gush, and it's like 2 gushes in hand. Yeah, then I have to take 1 impulse because he won't play 2 gushes in a game.
Sure. The thing is, my deck is so bad against Cabal Therapy and Duress playsets. So, and normally my deck mulligans really well. I always go to 5 or even 4, and I can still get games with it. But against even with open deck lists in game 1. So then when I play against Cabal Therapy, I'm like, I don't need to mull for Dreadnought because it's just so likely that you will destroy my hand anyway. So against a deck like the Rock, I will just be very happy with 2 lands and a couple cantrips.
Yeah.
And that's why I kept it. And
sure.
was happy about it.
But this is just a testament why Cabal Therapy. I in the second game, my 7 had 2 Cabal Therapies, 1 Naturalize, but only green, 1 Treetop Village or something like that. It was like, I can't keep this shit in hand. It would have been great if yeah. So, but like, having a therapy instead of the Resistor would have like changed everything, I think. Because just sacrificing manas and
Sure.
But I hate the rest in the Rock, but it's good. But like 2 is enough. Of course, I boarded in the 3rd one here, but
I agree with hitting Duress in the Rock. I've been playing Mesmeric Fiend instead, and been a lot happier with it.
Okay, but that numbers some with Deed, doesn't it?
Sometimes, yeah.
No. I was really hoping to like that we got to see Braids here, because I think Braids is actually pretty strong in this matchup. Like you don't have the permanents to keep up.
I can't. Yeah. If we would have played the long game and you drew your Braids, it would have been pretty rough for me. But I have to say, I would have been a super happy man if you killed me with Braids.
Yeah, right.
I mean, sure, do it. Yeah. That's fine.
You're always a good guy if you kill someone with Braids, right?
Of course. Who can? It's almost like when you're holding a puppy or something. You can't do it, right? It's,
in this format, Braid's a good guy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I've been so disappointed with Vendetta all over. I mean, I even cut 1 Vendetta from my November list to only play 1 in main deck, and it should probably just be 1 in the 75. Because again, it's so bad. Like any other removal spell here, it would have been great, but goddamn, I hate them.
Yeah.
When do you want Vendetta over the other removal spells?
Goblin Lackey, I think.
Yeah, Lackey and Priest of Titania, basically. Like, that's it.
Play Funeral Charm.
Yeah, true. Like, yeah. I mean, Vendetta is obviously, they have some other good
a little more
targets,
versatile.
But it's so bad.
Do you want to talk about how you boarded, both of you?
Sure. Should I start?
Sure.
I was expecting to win the first game, but I didn't, so I had to change my board. So I took in 1. I actually boarded up to 61 cards because I wasn't gonna play 2 Vendettas and 3 Duress ever, but I wanted that if I lost. So I took in my second Vendetta, 3 Duresses, Diabolic Edict, and what's the last card? Smother is my main deck. Genesis for 1 Recurring Nightmare. So since you have like all the counter spells in the world, I want to have some sort of late game because I dilute a lot of threats and bodies. So yeah, this is what I did.
Okay.
And I'm fine playing 61 cards for this deck. I tend to do that boarding quite a lot actually. With 24 lands and like 6 mana dudes, that's fine. But I rarely like board out 1 land. Rather, So.
What cards did you remove? Where are the green cards in the middle that you removed?
Naturalize. No, sorry. Wall of Blossoms, Deranged Hermit are removed.
Oh yeah, okay.
Plague Spit and Recurrent Nightmare. So I was contemplating whether I should remove this second Recurrent Nightmare, but it can be good if it goes grindy, which was expected. So yeah. That's
right. Man, Wall of Blast is another card that I've just been really less and less satisfied in the Rock with.
I really like it against the aggro, and like it's a body for Cabal Therapy, so like I do enjoy them, but it's also a good card to sideboard out against non-aggro decks basically.
Right. Yeah. There are spots it shines for sure.
Yeah, and you want to have game against Sly, and Wall of Blossoms gets you there, so yeah.
Yeah.
That's sad because I really want to play Pietro here. I wanted to play against Sly because I do believe this deck is favored against Sly because it's a like, I don't know, divisive community if it's a 50-50 matchup, or Sly players tend to think it's a 70-30 matchup for them, and the Rock players tend to think it's like a 70-30 matchup for them.
Sounds like you're calling him out, and this could be an exhibition match.
Yeah.
Let's see what Patriot feels about that.
Right. Sven, how did you sideboard?
I didn't sideboard that much. Basically, what I took out was a Daze, because you have all the mana all the time, a Lotus Petal, because I was fully expecting to play the long game against you.
Yeah.
I thought you would just shred my hand, and my first Dreadnought gets killed, and then we play the long game with Winter Orb and stuff.
Yep.
Then I also put out one Disrupt, because you have all the mana. Disrupt I like when I'm on the play, because I can counter your discard spells, but on the draw, I don't know, it's just a cantrip basically, and I don't want to. I mean, I play 4 days for a reason. I like them because I can kind of disrupt some early discard spells from you as well, so I'm happy with 3 in them. And I also play only 1 Lotus Petal, so I could only board out 1 of them.
Yeah.
And what I put in were 2 Hibernations.
Yeah, of course.
Because again, I was expecting the long game. Also, I thought maybe I can bounce a Deed or something at some point.
Yeah, I had to read up on Hibernation when I saw we were paired. Like, does it take permanents, or is it just creatures? And like, fuck, it takes Deed as well. So,
Permanents.
Yeah.
Fully expecting that one.
Yeah, I was kind of... Yeah, against the early Deeds, against the turn 2 Deed, I thought it's nice to have a Hibernation or buy time against Blastoderms or whatever. And I also put in a Rainbow if we if we went for a really long game to have some, to have a different win con as well. But
yeah.
But
no,
I actually drew both Hibernations in game 2, so yeah, I'm not sure here. What's maybe.
So you were so close to being able to hibernate the Treetop Village, but I think you only had 2 mana when it was blocking the Dreadnought, and he was at 12.
Right.
I was joking about that, but yeah, that's funny.
That was my.
I was counting
turn.
to 3 really hard to not fuck myself. Yeah, it was 1 mana short, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you can't do any gush tricks. Yeah, there's nothing.
But no, fast game. Like I was really expecting this to go way above an hour.
Well, that's probably because you were expected to do a little bit better. I guess the games that you lose go really quick, and the games that you win probably go a lot longer. So yeah, if you were optimistic about the match, then you probably weren't expecting to die so quickly. So.
Nah, that's true.
Always hoping for longer matches if they're up.
Yeah. I mean, I even put down a land from in my second game there. I kept a 3-lander instead of 4-lander, but kept drawing lands. So yeah, nothing happened basically once the Deed was like totally reliant on Treetop Villages. But yeah, because like landing a Baloth or something there to just have a clock will do a lot in those situations. But, but now, Sven, you gotta take him down, right?
For sure. Thanks for the games, Anton.
Yeah, thanks for
Down red. That's like what you want, right?
So players, are there anything that you want to add before we go? Anything, experiences from the tournament, or anything about this matchup specifically that you want to note?
It's been a great tournament as always, Mike. Like, thank you for organizing it. I really like the batch thing that you're playing against like same records in the second batch, because it makes difference for sure. But yeah, I think the Rock has upper hand against Dreadnought overall. But I mean, anything can happen. So, and it's fun that like
I think so too.
That's part of the game. Like variance does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool tournament, and thanks for organizing.
Yeah.
And good luck, Sven.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Again, already texted you that I enjoyed the tournament really much so far. I think it's just nice in Premodern that you have this monthly structure, and the monthlies are sort of, what I don't know, sort of like the main tournaments happening every month. But then there's the spring and the what's the other fling?
Fall Brawl.
Fall Brawl, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's just nice to have these 2 sort of highlighted monthlies with a little bit more games and things. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I like it. At this point they're very similar to structure to how they are, but the little difference is the second batch play, and then the little it just makes it feel a little bit different. So yeah, I've enjoyed doing them, and I think the people watching have also. It just feels a little bit more like a more traditional tournament. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
But I think like it goes, at least more my deck building thinking when we have the second batch. I mean, I have to think that I'm gonna do well in first batch. Obviously, like that's what we all play for. So then it's like, what are you expecting to face in the second batch? Okay, there will be elves, there will be goblins, there will be sly. So you really have to like have that into consideration. I felt like my deck. I'm very happy with the deck. Like, and the sideboard has been amazing. So it's like Deranged Hermit is basically the worst card in the deck, and that says a lot. Like, it's the rock. But yeah.
All right. Well, then I'll let the players go, and BK and I will do a quick wrap up. But I want to thank you both for joining us today. Congratulations, Anton and Sven. We will see you moving on to the semifinals, so we will get to see you play again with your Mono Blue Stiflenought deck. So
you can't say congratulations to me.
Congratulations on the top 8. I mean, it's a job well done. So
thanks for the great game.
Yes, I guess I need to specify what I'm congratulating you for. So yes.
Congrats, Sven. Thanks.
Thanks, Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye. Take care. Bye.
All right, so I'll bring up our top 8 schedule. So we are left with one quarterfinal that is scheduled to be played this upcoming Sunday, so the 15th, sometime in the afternoon. I'll get a little bit more details as we get near, but
will you be live from Boston for that one?
I will be back home. I am coming home Saturday evening. So yes, I am traveling to Boston for LobsterCon. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. So BK, it will be there as well. So the Madison crew will be there. Yeah. So
why not tomorrow afternoon?
Yep. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing a lot of people that I've interacted with the last 2.5 years for the first time. People that I've talked to a lot and never met, and it'll be really fun. I will be playing.
You'll be like a celebrity there.
I don't know if that'll be the case, but I won't mind if that is. I am one to always step into the spotlight if that's available. So yeah, looking forward to meeting a lot of people, and looking forward to 128 pre-moderners sitting down and playing a paper event. So that will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Okay, with that, I think we can wrap things up. I want to thank everyone who was able to tune in. I had a lot of fun with this match. Thank you, BK, for joining us in the booth and providing some insightful commentary.
For that short time.
Yep. It was a quick match, but it's still fun. You can't say that it wasn't exciting, though. So.
Yeah, they were good games.
Yes. So, thanks, everyone. And until next time, take care.